like a skunk with its head gnawed off. It's Sanctuary of Reality, my comic review series. Time now for Cerebus issue 251, the 20th chapter of Going Home, and the start of Going Home's third sub-book, which is titled Form and Void, and gets its very own phone book, its very own trade paperback collection. This is the 14th Cerebus phone book. It's actually out of print right now, though you could possibly get lucky and find a few at your local comic book shop, if there are any left. Anyway, let's get into it. While Ham Ernestway, author and pillar of masculinity, writes, elsewhere in his home, his wife Mary entertains their guests, Jocka and Cerebus. Mary and Ham are to escort Jocka and Cerebus up the Chesme River Trail. Mary tells Jocka about the various fish, game, and wildlife to be hunted on it. She asks Ham for clarification on it, but he doesn't seem to hear it too well after the treatments that he's been receiving. Mary asks about Sandhills Creek, and Jocka expresses her concern over living with Cerebus's parents, even temporarily. Mary relates how she shouldn't always give in, and how she herself can do as good as any man as long as they level the playing field for her, and how a true partnership works. While Jocka seems overwhelmed by the domineering woman, Cerebus is overwhelmed as well by the fact that he's staying in the Ham Ernestway's home. He goes over the words the man said in telling him to make himself at home. He even is in awe of the fact he has plenty of grizzly beer in the cellar, the beer his buddy Bear once boasted about in relation to the famous Ham. Cerebus ponders the most manly yarn he can think of, which is his encounter in the Battle of Petro Pass, and plans to relate it to Ham if he can remain calm in the face of someone so famous. Cerebus then recalls talking to Jocka about the troops on the docks, how she thinks they were merely on maneuvers, but Cerebus knows, mentally arguing about her role in their presence. Can he deal with these doubts about the love of his life while also dealing with the nervousness of being in the home of the Ham Ernestway? No, you didn't miss anything between issues. We skip ahead a little bit until after Cerebus and Jocka have met Ham and his wife. It doesn't matter much since we get everything we need to know about the characters in this issue. Ham Ernestway is a parody of Ernest Hemingway and his fourth wife, Mary. Ham was mentioned in passing about 2 issues ago by F. Stop Kennedy, but otherwise this is the first we've heard about him. He's basically the same as Ernest Hemingway is in the real world. He's considered to be one of the greatest authors of all time. His fame precedes him. He was well known to be a rugged, manly man who ran with the bulls and hunted, drank, and fished, and everything. But how much of that perception is reality, especially at the end of his life? That's the question we'll be exploring over the next few issues. Like with Going Home, this one has Dave Sim's exhaustive annotations in the back of the book and even in the single issues. It's called To Ham and Ham Not. It's text essays, and unlike the previous books' annotations, which were more panel by panel, page by page type stuff, this is more essay based. Like in that case, it's more optional reading. You don't have to read it to get what's being said in the main story. But if you're into behind the scenes stuff and about the research of the real Ernest Hemingway that went into this book, then you're going to want to read the annotations side by side with the rest of the issue. But it is, warts and all, every single thing that Dave Sim thinks about Ernest Hemingway by way of his own personal research. But if you can't handle divisive opinions formulated on dissecting the entire body of an author's works, how'd you make it this far? As for my opinion on this particular issue, I like the pacing. The use of shadows and light fits succinctly the title of Form and Void. And in a way, the sparseness of the writing also works in that regard as well. But read back to back with Going Home, it's a little jarring simply because F. Stop Kennedy had more of a dense style of writing. Here we get the more bare bones style of Ernest Hemingway. Once you settle into the groove, it makes for a fascinating difference, and it's quite a good ride. Oh, and there's a cameo by Duke Leonardi on the Grizz beer bottle. Yeah, that's a good. Next time, you're in for a shock.